Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 99 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. Okay, so we got a big show this week. We've got a bunch of shave of the days, and mixed in with that, I tell you about, well, a little problem with a feathered friend that I have. Also, I was driving down the road and I got to, thinking about something. I'll tell you all about that. Meetups, why they're good, what they're good for, why you should do one, why you should attend one. We'll talk about that. I talk about shower shaving and why you should try it. It's really a good thing, and sometimes we don't try what's potentially good right in front of us. Speaking of good, we do not know how good we have it here in the wet shaving community. We really don't. We take it for granted, honestly. And I'll tell you about an experience that I had this weekend that made me realize that, well, we've got a lot here in the wet shaving community, and we need to thank some people that make it as good as it is. And so I'll tell you all about that. Wednesday, today, I went old school. I really did. It was just kind of an old school kind of day, and so that's what I did. And under normal circumstances, we'll end the show there, but I had a little rant that I kind of went on, and I'm going to tag that on to the end of the show. So if you want to hang around and listen to it, I'll tell you about why we're all kind of maybe looking for something of value. Anyhow, let's get on with the show because, it's episode 99. What can possibly go wrong? Got a comment on the blog from Josh. He says, "Hi Rick, thanks for another episode and for your dedication to the show. Early in the show, you mentioned LPV soap. I had no idea you were referring to or what LPV meant. It wasn't until 54 minutes in, let me know if I'm wrong, when you qualified it with Katie's Bubbles. So I Googled that. And now I see it's Le Piment de Vie, Le Piment de la Vie. So I humbly caution you not to let podcasting get too insider for the average traditional shaving fan." Well, Josh, thank you for the comment. Point well taken. It's difficult, and I'll tell you why. Because those of us that have been doing this a while, especially if we spend a lot of times on Facebook or Twitter or some of the forums, some of the vernacular, if you will, just becomes almost common language. And so if I fail to, articulate, I apologize. But excellent point, and I'm glad you found it. Yes, LPV is in fact Le Piment de la Vie, which is French for the spice of life, made by Katie's Bubbles. And Chris Cullen, who is the proprietor of Katie's Bubbles, does an excellent job with that particular soap, and in fact does an excellent job with all of his soaps. And so Josh, thank you very much for the letter. Good catch. I also got an email from Jeff. He said, "Just listened to your interview on Photime and really enjoyed it. I too teach radio merit badge at summer camps and local troops as an assistant scoutmaster. Lots of fun and rewarding. I also have been wet shaving with double-edged blades and sometimes with a straight razor, and have been since high school in about 1975. I still use the same brush, although it could stand to be replaced. Just hard to do so. I wonder if there is a way that I could get an RSS feed. He uses CarCast, and he doesn't use like iTunes or Stitcher. And so I can send you and I sent him the RSS feed. And if you need an RSS feed, just go ahead and drop me an email at BrushnSoapnBlade at gmail.com, and I can send you the RSS feed. It's not that big a deal. It's in fact in almost 2 years of doing this, I've only had one other person ask me for an RSS feed. So it's not something that a lot of people do, but if you do need one, that's cool. Just go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll see what I can do for you. I was able to get him the RSS feed, and he said that yes, in fact, it did work. So all is good. And Jeff, thank you for being out there and helping out with the scouts. Greatly appreciated. Glad you like the show on Photime, because Caleb does a good job over there. And if you're into ham radio, that's a good place to go. And a good podcast over there. Anyhow, thank you very much, Jeff, for the letter, and hope to hear from you soon. I also got an email from David. He says, if you're on a menthol kick, try Clubman Osage Rub. It's identical in feel and performance to Snakebite by Fine. It's only half the price for triple the amount. The stuff is fantastic. Well, Dave, thanks very much for the tip. I'll have to look that up. If anybody else knows about the Clubman Osage Rub, shoot me a line. Let us know, and we'll get the word out. Because if it's good stuff, good menthol kick for the hot, humid summertime, it may be something that a lot of people are looking for. So let us know. And like I said, we'll get the word out. David, thank you very much for the email. So it's a nice, bright, sunny day to match a bright, sunny shave. Yeah, shave of the day. Okay, so today, wanted to do something just a little bit different. So reached for the Plisson brush. And reached for some Soap Commander Love. It's a beautiful rose smell. I really do enjoy it. So Soap Commander was on tap, and just to, because I hadn't in a while, picked up the 1940 Super Speed Gillette, an excellent razor by just about anybody's standard, I would think. It's interesting that they went from the 1940s super speed to the flare tips, and then they got into the adjustables. But for me, the 1940s super speed, which are very, at least in feel of the head, very similar in feel to the Aristocrat. That to me is probably one of the best vintage Gillette shavers there is, just for a non-adjustable. But the 1940 Super Speed is just real close behind it. I mean, just wonderful, wonderful shaver. So loaded up a brand new feather blade and had a shower shave. Lathered up in the palm of my hand there, and proceeded to apply the lather. And what I found was, someplace everything was essentially, every single stroke for the most part was against the grain, and I did it in probably one pass with a little touch up. Very nice shave. The whole place smelled like rose. I mean, it was just, it was beautiful. Just really nice, really nice. Finished off with a little bay rum, just because by the time I got ready, the rose scent had faded, and I didn't think it would clash. And the Ogallala Bay rum on hand. Of course, the wife isn't around, so she can't complain. Oh, speaking of that, yeah. So she bought me a present the other day. I don't know why she did this, but she did. She bought me a small can of Barbasol, a little travel can of Barbasol. I'm like, what's this? Yeah, I thought it was for one of the kids. And it's like, I bought you something. Oh, what? She said, yeah, I bought you something shave-related. Okay. Yeah, I bought you this because I know you like to try new things. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? And she just smiles. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's like that. Oh, well, it's all good. Because right after that, she asked me if I wanted, in celebration of my 100th anniversary or 104th anniversary, Do I want to go and buy myself a really nice, expensive razor or something like that? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But for right now, I think I'm pretty good. Anyhow, that was the shave of the day today. So out the door and down the road we go. Getting ready to turn on the old ham radio here to see if anybody else is out there, wants to. Well, in fact, there is somebody out there. Look at that. So see if anybody's out there I can talk to, keep me company on the way to the donut factory. So hopefully you guys have a good day too. So I have a bird problem. This is not a normal bird problem. This is a rather abnormal bird problem, but I have a bird problem nonetheless. Okay, so where I live, right out back is a pond. It's not a big pond, but it's a pond nonetheless. And there's probably about, 6 to 7 houses on the pond. The backyard's all back up to it. Live in an area of the country in a place where the lots are fairly large, not humongous large, but a whole lot bigger than the postage stamp size things you get in some communities where the houses are right next to each other and it takes you longer to get the lawnmower out than it does to actually mow the lawn. But being out where I am, I have an abundance of nature. Let's put it that way. And so my son showed me the other day that there is a blue heron that was sitting on the railing of our deck, overlooking, the backyard and the pond. And so you think, okay, well, that might be a good place to just kind of hang out as long as it doesn't feel threatened, although most birds, especially blue herons, are a little bit cautious / annoyed with human presence and don't hang around long enough. But apparently either this is a juvenile bird or one that's just is immune to threat, and birds like that, you wonder how long how they live as long as they do, being that immune to threat. But there you go. Anyhow, he had showed me some pictures that he had taken of this bird on the back rail, and thought that was kind of cool. He said he knocked on the glass and tried to get it to fly off. He said it almost did a couple of times, but then it just settled back down and said, okay, no big deal, no threat here. And so he took pictures and kind of went on with life. Well, he showed them to me, and I didn't think much of it. Till this morning. So this morning I come out, and lo and behold, we have a little kind of a breakfast eating area in the kitchen that has a small bay window, and the bay window is right below the master bedroom window in the back. And so I come out of the bathroom and look at the window just to see what kind of a day it is. It's a different view and all. And there's this bird sitting there. Now, you're talking about a blue heron that's probably about 2.5 feet tall. And he's just sitting there. And I'm like, well, that's rather cool. And of course, now, as I came back out after shaving and all, and he was gone. But as I left, I looked up, and lo and behold, yes, there is bird crap on my on the shingles for my bay window. Thanks. Luckily, nobody sees back there, but still, thanks. Yeah, Oh, well. Don't know what you do with a blue heron. They probably don't eat very well. But anyhow, I digress. Maybe with some glaze. But anyhow, it is it is curious, interesting, and in fact enjoyable to be that close to nature and to see that nature is right there, and have an opportunity for my kids and the other children of the neighborhood to be able to observe nature firsthand like that. That is nice. That is, one of the reasons that we moved to the area that we did, And it just makes a very pleasant and pleasurable experience, especially in the morning. So today's shave of the day. Today, well, I went back and had a shower shave just because I wanted to try something. And a couple of things. Okay, first off, I have found out how long it takes a Soap Commander sample to completely lose any scent. So I had a sample of Soap Commander Vision, and I had left it in the shower up above, in a soap tray up above everything, and it didn't get wet or anything like that. It just sat there. Unfortunately, it sat there outside of its wrapper, the wax paper wrapper, which does an absolutely outstanding job of maintaining the scents in the soap. So all of the legendary soap scent from the Vision is now gone. And it's still a nice blue color, but there is no scent to speak of. And it was just it's been there probably about 4 months, 5 months, something like that. So yeah, you can do that if you don't like a scent. Just leave the lid off the soap for a while. Oh goodness. Anyhow. So use the 1940 Super Speed as well as the Police On brush once again, and instead of doing a single pass shave, which was nice the day before, it was excuse me. It was nice, it was fast, it was rapid. But one of the things that I noticed is that I had kind of a stubble issue, growth issue, a little bit sooner than what I was normally used to. And so one of the things that I wanted to try, just as an experiment to compare the two, was to do an honest 3-pass shave in the shower this morning, using a Soap Commander soap, just like I did the day before. Different variety, I thought. Turned out to be scentless, but that's okay. And the Police On brush. So all the variables were, for the most part, the same, and the only difference was the pretty much single pass shave the day before and the 3-pass shave today. The single pass shave, you're doing one pass, you're putting a little bit more pressure on, you're pretty much going against the grain the whole time and trying like heck to get all of it in that single pass. And the 3-pass shave is, you're not really worried about getting it all. You're, worried more about making sure that you don't apply pressure, let the razor do the job, etc. Classic variation in techniques. One is very much kind of the cartridge razor phenomena, if you will. Just being used with a double edge. So that's what I did this morning. And, the soap, even though it had no scent, performed flawlessly, just like Soap Commander's soaps do. Very thick and nice lather, palm lathered and then face, then applied. But it worked out well. The shower, of course, being a very humid environment, does a very good job of keeping things hydrated and everything else. So no worries there. So all in all, good stuff. Finished off with some Clubman. Hadn't used Clubman in a while, and because I had a scent that didn't have any, or a soap that didn't have any scent, I basically looked at my selection and said, well, I can do whatever I want and will not have to worry about clashing or anything else. It's like, what do I choose? That early in the morning, choices like that are, that'll drive you nuts. Anyhow, all in all, good stuff, a good start for the day. Well, hopefully, I do hope, as I come home today, there's a certain spot on my journey that people from time to time park vehicles with trailers and will be selling melons and vegetables and turnip greens and all kinds of good stuff out here, in public. And the other day there was a guy selling watermelons, and it was, locally grown watermelon, absolutely the tastiest watermelon that I have had in a long, long time. I'm absolutely convinced that, purchasing local products, especially food, is, just so much better. There's something about, especially if you get out in the environment, there is something about being out in the environment, working in the dirt, and you become, I don't know, attuned to the climate, attuned to the soil, attuned to, the whole experience of life in that area, in that region. And you can, to a certain extent, appreciate the tastes in the food. It almost feels like, it fits. It tastes right. It tastes, proper. I know that from time to time, if you go to the grocery store, even though, they say that it's locally grown or whatever, some things may be, but I mean, food is a large industrial complex at this point. It truly is. A lot of our produce gets shipped in from overseas, from other countries, and in order to survive the transport without being damaged, it has to be picked before it's ready. It won't be ripe, and then it's packaged up and shipped, and it ripens in the package or whatever. But it's not the same as things that, ripen in the vine and are picked, a couple days before they're sold to you. It's really not the same. And it really does make a difference. And so I'm driving down the road and past the place where the people usually sit and sell their wares, as it were. And it fills me with, I don't know, longing, for some of that watermelon, for some of those foods, for some of the nicer things in life, because, at the end of the day, we eat a lot, it's what we do. We're human beings. We typically have to eat 2 or 3 times a day. I can shave once a day. I have to eat more often. I just do, Drinking coffee is a close second. I drink a good bit of coffee. I thoroughly enjoy it. That's another thing. If I can get it as close to, the home source product type thing, and that's why that's one of the reasons that I choose to use green beans and roast them myself, because it's as close to fresh as I can get, and it does make a huge difference. It makes a huge difference in coffee. It makes a huge difference in foods. So it's one of those things. I just happened to think of it as I was driving down the road, and there you go. So one of my wet shaving buddies, I had donated a jar of Deluxe Shaving Company, and I'd given him the sample of Soul Man and said, "Here, try this out." And so he used it. I talked to him the other day, and he really, really enjoyed the scent. I'd also given him the tobacco scented one, and he said, that was okay, but he really liked the Soul Man, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I understand that, because I really like that one too. But it was good to know that it's not just me. Sometimes it's good to know that others enjoy some of the scents. He said he didn't have any problem lathering it or anything, and it performed very nicely for him as well. So it's always good to be able to sit down and talk and compare notes and kind of, I don't know, make sure you're not off in left field, or at least, it's at least pleasant to understand that you're not a complete lunatic.
And that's one of the reasons, quite honestly, that meetups are so popular. So, meetups are where wet shavers within an area get together and go socialize and talk to each other. And, maybe one of these things where we have spoken or written back and forth on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, but we've never met face to face. And there may be people who have done YouTube channels and things like that, but they've never met face to face. They've never shook each other's hands. And, so it's a nice thing to be able to do that. So speaking of meetups, there's one coming up 17th of October in Huntsville, Alabama. And that is the Dirty South Shavers meetup. And so if you get an opportunity, go check that out. And there is a Facebook page, Dirty South Shavers. It's a Facebook page over there, and go check it out and get some more information on the meetup. And there's a lot of guys posting over there and having a good time. And if you're in the area, if you've never been to a meetup, go find one. They're all over the place, and they're fun. Get to socialize with some of your fellow hobbyists and enthusiasts, and have a good time, and get to meet them and talk and share experiences. And that's part of the fun of the hobby as well, is the sharing, the talking, the personal touch, the understanding that this guy that I see on YouTube, who I think is an absolute nut, well, really is, or no, he comes off as an idiot, but he's not that bad. This guy that's on this podcast all the time, he really is just like the podcast. It's scary. Sometimes you find out things about people that are really kind of fun. And anyhow, like I said, so if you get an opportunity to go and have a meetup, do so. And in fact, if you think about it, and if you enjoy organizing small groups, throw a meetup on yourself. I mean, have a meetup, organize one. Get some of your buddies together, and then put it out there on Facebook and let us know. Send me an email and let me know, and I'll put it out there, and then let the listening community of this audience know that the meetup's occurring, and so we'll spread the word for you. So good stuff. Anyhow, meetups, give her a shot. All right, so here we are, and let's talk about the shave of the day. So today I jumped back in the shower again and did a shave with Soap Commander Love and my Plisson brush, and again the 1940 Super Speed. And I went one pass, and I thought I was doing okay, and it felt good. It really did. It felt good until about an hour afterwards. And then what I noticed is that my cheeks, which are normally very, very smooth, felt like, light sandpaper, and almost like the blade was trying to cut, and the stubble was just kind of bending over out of the way and refused to be conquered by the feather blade and super speed matchup there. So it was curious. It was, I hadn't really noticed it. It was interesting. The stubble wasn't sharp. I'd gone over it in a couple of different directions as I was, essentially doing my single pass, which was actually more than single pass. It was kind of like two passes with buffing action, kind of like going on there. And but what I noticed is that there was still, and it was just in certain spots, and it was like a light sandpaper kind of effect. It initially felt smooth in the shower, but it wasn't. Dun dun dun. So I was fooled. I thought I had a decent shave, and lo and behold, it was just socially acceptable. So anyhow, one of the things that, again, as I, go through the variety and all the variables of wet shaving, yeah, it happens. It's not a big deal. It's just, well, curious, because I hadn't really noticed that before. And one of the things that I enjoy now is that I can shave with a straight razor and I don't get that same effect. I get smooth, I get clean, I get, there is no light sandpaper or anything when I'm done. It's just skin. Not the same with the 1940 Super Speed, even with a feather blade and Soap Commander soap in the shower, which is the best of all combinations. So I don't know if I'm losing my touch, if I need to put down a little bit more pressure on the blade, because I am putting no pressure on anything, or what it is, but I will get to the bottom of this eventually. It may take me, 4 or 5 years, but I will figure it out. Oh, but that's okay, because, if it wasn't for the little nuances of all of this, well, it wouldn't be much fun now, would it? Well, today's shave of the day. Okay, so I went back to the shower, and yesterday I had an issue with, closeness with my 1940 Super Speed and Soap Commander Love and shower shaving and everything else. It was a kind of a 1-2 pass shave type, situation. And I had some grain, some stubble, something. It was rough. It wasn't, it was socially acceptable, but not as nice as I wanted it to be. So today I went back and used exactly the same things, just so I could eliminate all those variables. And essentially did a 3-pass shave and walked out of the shower just feeling, pretty good. Now, the interesting thing is again, I'm not getting quite as close as I can with a straight razor. That makes sense. Okay, I understand that. But it was much closer than yesterday. Now, the only thing that I can attribute that to is, first off, taking a little bit more time, doing 3 passes instead of a kind of quick 2-pass. And the other thing that I noticed, and the only thing that I can kind of attribute it to, is that I had soap on my hand. And so as I would kind of rub my face to find out if it was smooth or not, the soap was almost acting like an insulator, insulating the stubble from my hand, so I couldn't feel it. It's a tribute to the slickness of the soap and the cushion capability. It's curious. So that's what I'm going to go with, because at this point that's the only thing that makes sense. Anyhow, the shave of the day, went as typical shower shaves do, very, very nice. And if you haven't ever done it, try it. Especially if you have a big shower, because the steam-filled area just has a tendency to let the scents from the soap just kind of waft around and envelop you. It's really a nice experience. And of course, the humidity in the area naturally keeps your beard just soft. So it is much easier to shave. So, if you haven't tried it, go ahead and give it a try, even if it's just, on your cheeks or something like that in a flat spot, because it is, worth it. And like I said, there's some people that they do that exclusively just because it is, so enjoyable. When you go to a barber or someone to get a shave, they slather you with hot towels and everything else. And essentially what they're trying to do is mimic the environment of a shower, if you think about it. And so you have that ability and that capability pretty much right there at your beck and call in your bathroom, more than likely. And so to not take advantage of it is, a shame. So everybody should try that from time to time, just because. All right, so a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. Few clouds in the sky, but not too much. Nice, sunshiny day, 70s. Oh, it's beautiful out here. Anyhow, the shave of the day. The shave of the day, we kind of went, well, I don't know, old school, if you will, back in time. And that back in time took us to a Samog 1305 boar brush and Old Spice original shaving cream. So lathered up, beautiful Old Spice smell filling the bathroom. Oh, just absolutely lovely. Just lovely. Now, there are other soap makers and manufacturers and such that make a scent that is similar to Old Spice. There's, Spice Trades and Windjammer, and, there are all kinds of names for it. And they're close. They really are. They're close. But there is something about the scent, the original formulation, the scent of Old Spice, well, anything, to be quite honest, that is just, well, it's unique, and it's special, and it's classic, and why in goodness name, Procter & Gamble or whoever owns it now got rid of it. I mean, that's just like, are you kidding me? But they did, and absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyhow, so the Old Spice shaving cream in the original formulation, and proceeded to apply lather to face, and then got rid of lather and stubble both in a couple of, well, actually 3 passes with the Bell brand straight razor, and cleaned it up with the 1940 Super Speed with a feather blade in it. Absolutely BBS. I mean, just beautiful, nice. And so as a tribute, I finished it off with classic formulation, Shulton formula, Old Spice aftershave. Wow, what a way to start a day. And then just to kind of top it off, when I got dressed with the classic white shirt, and, I mean, just, yeah, old time, just goodness. It's just, that's how I'm doing today. Just old time goodness. Got a beautiful fountain pen in my pocket. It is it's a Chinese pen, but it is knockoff is not really the right word, because as I understand it, they're made on the same tooling that Parker used to use, but essentially a copy of a Parker 51 hooded nib fountain pen. And so we're old school today. Got the mechanical watch on, and granted it's a diver's watch, but okay, it's still a mechanical watch. It's an automatic. It's an automatic wind. So every time I move or swing my wrist, the little pendulum inside rotates around the shaft, and it's self-winding. And that's made by Bernhardt Instruments, which is if you've never heard of them, they're a small watch company run by one guy, the last I checked, and he's up in North Carolina. And back in the day when he first started, he would make the housings, and he would get Swiss movements. And so that's what this is. This is a Swiss movement in a housing, and assembled in North Carolina, of all places. So I've got a couple of his watches, and but yeah, Bernhardt watches. It's he's since gone, because the Swiss movements basically became impossible to find, and so we went to Japanese movements, and which are very nice movements, in their own right. But it's just a classic day. It's just something that just feels, I don't know, old school. So anyhow, here's to going to work and standing around a water fountain, like we used to, and talking about the new thing, computers. Just old school. So anyhow, it's just kind of having fun today and enjoying it. Again, lovely day, and that's what they're here for, so that we can enjoy them, and that's our job. The good Lord puts a day in front of us. Our job is to enjoy it and to revel in it, because, well, you never know when, you're not going to have them. And, it's just, you need to enjoy what you have when you have it. All of it. Even in the bad times, sometimes the people that make it and make it well are the ones that find joy and happiness even in hard times. They're the ones that, don't get down. They're the ones that don't get, melancholy and upset. And, granted, there's always drudgery, but at the same time, it's how you deal with the days, It's if something goes wrong, what do you do with it? Do you just kind of wallow in it, or do you pick yourself up and say, okay, well, all right, what can I learn from that? Let's move forward and keep on going, because I'm not done with this by a long shot. Anyhow, here's to hoping that your day is a classic day filled with happiness and optimism as well. All right, so this just occurred, and yeah, it's a little irritating. Okay, so we know that we have artisans and vendors within our shaving community, within the wet shaving community. And I am here to tell you that at every given opportunity, you need to absolutely thank them for their outstanding service. Now, why do I say that? Okay, first off, I have never run into a vendor or an artisan that I haven't gotten immediate attention, immediate satisfaction, immediate, okay? All right, so here's what happened. It's a Saturday, call it afternoon, just barely, but afternoon. Saturday afternoon. I needed a part. I needed a part for my impact wrench so I could do some work on a lawnmower, and I don't have it. Okay, so I go down to the auto parts store, local auto parts store, small town. There are 4 people working in this auto parts store, okay? 4 people. One guy just running back and forth, moving parts around, okay? 3 other people at the counter. I pick up my impact wrench part, and I stand there, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, because these people are too busy talking and carrying on than serving customers. All the customers in this store, there were 6 of us, we were all standing there waiting. Okay, finally they get around to start ringing somebody up. It comes my turn, the counter's open, I walk up. The first thing that the lady does that's in front of the cash register there is the phone rings, and she answers the phone to answer somebody's question about a part. Now, here's the issue at hand. You have got a paying customer standing there waiting right in front of you, and you're willing to piss them off by answering a phone call from somebody wanting just to research a part. Now, you have 4 other people in the store. There's nobody in the store at this point other than myself. Those folks couldn't answer the phone. Somebody couldn't come over and take care of the cash, the cash sale that was trying to take place. No. I'm standing in front of this woman, and she's talking on the phone to a guy about a radiator. Okay, fair enough. For the guy on the phone, it's an important issue. I understand that. This is not about him. This is about the way that company and that store deals with issues like that. There is absolutely no customer service. There is none. There is no, hey, we want your experience to be good. We want you to come in, get what you find. We'll ask you if you found everything, and then we'll send you on your way, and thank you very much for your business. We appreciate it. Come back and see us sometime. No, there is absolutely none of that. She is answering the phone. She is talking. She finally gets through with that customer, and the guy comes in delivering parts. And she says, oh, I better sign for that. There are 3 other people in this store besides this woman. And she apparently is the only one that has a paying customer standing in front of her, and she's the one that thinks that it's her job to sign for parts? Oh, and then shoot the breeze with the guy delivering the parts for the next 5 minutes. It was absolutely astounding. And nobody in the whole dang store gave it a second thought. Nobody thought for a moment that there's a paying customer that's got a job to do, that's wanting to get in, get out, and not stand around and listen to them blather on about parts transfers, when the truck is coming next, etc., etc. I just wanted to pay my money and get the heck out of there. And this is what suffices in this country for customer service. There is none. There is absolutely none. Now, it used to be that there was customer service all day long because there were people there used to be that there was customer service all day long because there was a lot of people looking for very few jobs. And when that happened, customer service was high because everybody wanted to keep their job because there wasn't that many jobs out there. Now we've gotten to a point where nobody gives a crap. Nobody gives a crap about the customer that's paying the wages of the people behind the counter. Nobody cares. It's absolutely phenomenal. It really is. It is a sad state. Or the last time I saw this was when there was a situation when even McDonald's was giving $100 sign-on bonuses. That's when customer service went to heck because nobody cared. They could always go get another job. So how is it right now that we have all these people out of work and nobody cares about customer service? Nobody cares about doing what's right for the person paying their salary. Is it the entitlement that's gotten through to everybody? Is it the entitlement mentality that's gotten through to everybody? But it was absolutely phenomenal. Now, the thing that really brings this to the forefront is, again, the absolute outstanding community that we have of artisans and entrepreneurs and people. I mean, I have a problem with a shipment. I sent an email within 20 minutes. It's responded to. It's incredible. I mean, if I had sent an email to this place, it had taken 3 days just for them to even see it and another 5 days for them to decide whether or not they wanted to answer it. It is phenomenal. We have an absolutely outstanding community within the wet shaving community at large. It is a phenomenal thing. It really is. People care. People care about the customer. People care about what the customer thinks. People care about the customer's experience with the individual, with the storefront, with the internet, the whole 9 yards. Communication back and forth. It is phenomenal. It really is. I dare say that there's a reason that everybody's going to internet buying is because the storefront buying, at least within the everyday community, is abysmal. It is painful. This part, I should have been able to drive. It should have taken me longer to drive, okay, to the store than it was to get the part. I went in the store, found the part, picked it out, and stood there for 15 minutes. Now, the only reason I didn't leave is because the next closest store that would have that part is another 15 minutes away. But just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Golly. How do we get this way? How did we get here? How did we get to the point where we don't care about customers at all in society? We don't care about the people paying the bills. We don't necessarily care about the people paying the bills, that own the companies. We don't necessarily care about the people on the other side of the counter that are paying the bills. How the heck did we get here? It's just sad. I'm here to tell you, it's just sad. If it gets much worse, jeez. Start going back making things with wood by hand. Anyhow, moral of the story, get something from a vendor, brag about them. They're doing a good job. Get something from an artisan you like, brag about them. They're doing a good job. Not only are they making an absolute fine product, but they are also giving customer service to all of us out here that is outstanding.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at Brush and Blade.
You can also visit us at our blog, BrushnSoapnBlade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher. So after last week's gas can saga, I went ahead and did a little research, and I ended up buying some new gas cans. Yes, they were expensive. Yes, they're steel. Yes, they're NATO jerry cans. And they are carb compliant. They do seal nicely. They're all the stuff a gas can is supposed to be, and more importantly, I don't have to worry about them tipping over sideways and spraying gas. Because quite honestly, upon reflection, that was pretty frightening. I got to admit, that was, at the time I'm like, oh God, what a mess, But at the time, it's like, I'm glad I wasn't smoking a cigarette. I'm glad there wasn't any open electrical circuits nearby that could have arced. It was spraying a plume of gas about 4 feet in a kind of a small fan pattern, about an eighth of a pie shape. It could have been, bad. And I don't like bad. I enjoy my house, and I would have hated to have had it go up like that. Especially since when you think about it, if it goes up like that, I don't care if you got hoses, fire extinguishers, or whatever, you're not going to put that out. So anyhow, I went and bought some metal jerry cans, some NATO jerry cans, and so we're going to wait and see what those things, let those come in and see how they look. I've heard good reports. I did a little bit of research on them and everything, and actually I did a lot of research on gas cans, and the fact that I don't know. I don't want to go on the same rant, but it is wild when you think about it. I mean, let's look at something as simple as a toilet. Okay. You can't buy a toilet that flushes with enough water to actually get the job done. And so people end up flushing the toilet twice, which ends up using more water than what they were trying to replace. So again, a government entity somewhere, non-elected more than likely, has determined that we can't flush a toilet, and, you've got to have, 1.8 gallons of water or whatever the heck it is. And it's gotten to the point where people are bringing in via black market toilets that flush more. We have a black market for toilets. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And people put up with this crap. That's the thing that is so amazing. People put up with this. They just sit there and shake their heads and go, okay, yeah. People are going into old homes and keeping the toilets because, it was back in the day when it would flush enough to actually, do the job. It's just incredible. It really is. It's like we don't, I understand the feeling of not having a say in matters, but when we don't do anything about it, it's just, it's incredible. It's kind of like light bulbs. Do we really think we save any money via incandescent bulbs being gone? They're not necessarily dimmable. Our bulbs automatically are now costing 6-8 times as much. I mean, back in the day, an incandescent bulb was 99 cents. And so now you have, the LEDs and the CFLs and all that costing, $6, $7, $4, I mean, it's still, it is an astronomical price increase. And for what? For what? If you look at the CFL bulbs, they work great in areas where you turn them on and you do not turn them off. Now, how many people have situations like that? If you put them in a closet, for example, and cycle them on and off and on and off, the ballast component basically fries. That's the weak link. And so all of a sudden this bulb that you paid $8, $9 for doesn't last very long. It doesn't last as long as an incandescent. Now, LEDs are better. I enjoy LEDs. I have a bunch of LEDs. I like LED technology. But I'm rather particular that way as well. It's just, it's gotten to the point where it's no longer capitalism. The consumer no longer decides what is best. The consumer no longer decides that, hey, you know, these bulbs do a great job and they're at a great price, I will buy them, versus these other things that do a, reasonable job, but they cost 5 times as much. I'm not going to purchase those. You no longer, the law of the dollar, the vote of the dollar has been taken away from you. Your voting rights have been taken away from you because you cannot purchase what does the job and what suffices. Same with toilets. It's, you know, and you kind of think to yourself, okay, what's next? Wood stoves? Now they have EPA regulations that wood stoves put out too many greenhouse gases. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're like the only country that is crippling ourselves with greenhouse gas regulations. Why is that? Why do we shoot ourselves in the foot and let everybody else do whatever they want? I guarantee China isn't clamping down on wood stoves. Neither is India. Why? Is Russia? I dare say I doubt it. Why are we? Why is it that we get to spend the money and the time and the energy to basically hobble ourselves as a society and put ourselves at an unfair competitive advantage, compared to everybody else? Why is that right? Why is that good? I don't understand. Granted, I do understand, but in the general sense, I don't understand. You know, there are other instances, but those are a couple that have really just come to mind. You know, the other thing that's absolutely amazing is, okay, we want you to use less water. Try putting a composting toilet in your house and see what kind of code infractions you have to deal with. Yeah. Try in a situation where they want you to use less power and less energy. Try being off-grid. Did you hear about the guy that's being basically taken to court by his community because he is not tied into the grid? He's not tied into the electricity or water. And his community is suing him over it. But yet at the same time, the message that we're getting from every source is that we need to be more energy efficient and conserve more. Well, he's conserving all, but yet he's in trouble. How does that work? You know, we're told, for example, that we need to reduce our usage of water, and yet when we do, our rates go up. How does that work? The same with electricity. Reduce the amount of electricity you use, and your rates go up. How does that work? Why is it that somebody can do that to us while they sit there and jump up and down and say, you need to conserve, and then as a society, when we actually do it, we effectively get punished for it. And yet, we keep doing what these people tell us to do. It's amazing, isn't it? Why is it that they tell us that we need to have affordable housing, but yet try to build a house that is built with alternative means and materials? You know, from an insulation standpoint, a house made out of straw bales. You take straw bales and you stack them and you compress them and then you cover them in stucco, is a wonderful insulator. It essentially is like an adobe house with an insulated core. Okay? Try doing that in a local community and see how far the codes let you actually go. Yeah. Why is that? Why is it that we have had situations where companies have been told, well, you can't do those things? Like, take, for example, something as simple as shingles. Used to be that a shingle had a biocide on it. And the biocide kept bacteria and mold and growth and fungus and everything else from growing on your roof. And then they were told to get rid of it. And so now people have those things growing on their roof, and you have companies coming or people going up and spraying things on their roof that I guarantee is spreading biocides more readily into the environment than was ever accomplished by a roof shingle. But yet, we're doing what we're being told. How does that work? It is no longer about doing something that is right. It is doing something that makes someone feel good, regardless of the consequences, because oftentimes the consequences are 180 degrees out. That's why I have to flush the toilet twice instead of once. We've lost control, and nobody's doing anything. And as a population, as a society, we're too worried about other things that don't necessarily affect us. I mean, while I understand the sentiment behind a lion that gets killed in Africa, it doesn't impact us. I'm sorry. It does not impact us here in the United States. So we have a situation where everybody is all upset about a lion, but nobody cares about what we're doing to the country on a day-to-day basis. Nobody worries about the fact that we're making regulations that end up having consequences that are much more dire than what the regulations we're trying to improve. It really is scary and sad. You know, you have California, for example, that is in a drought situation and trying to conserve water, and yet they're pumping water out to sea. Why? Why is it that we can't stop the simple stuff and let common sense prevail? Because some law or some regulation prevents us from doing it. Some law or regulation prevents us from applying common sense. We have gotten to the point where regulations have taken over. Regulations control. Regulations have basically put us in handcuffs to a certain extent. You know, it would be nice, for example, to have gasoline that had gasoline in it. You know, the gasoline nowadays is so messed up that if you take, for example, a weed trimmer or a chainsaw or something to a place that does carburetor work, nowadays they're probably not real likely to even guarantee their carburetor work because the gas that's going into the units is so bad. So, is it that the gas is bad? And if so, where's it getting bad? Is it because we're just not manufacturing it correctly? Is it because we're putting things in it that really don't need to be there? You know, you look at ethanol. Ethanol really doesn't have a place in gasoline. Yeah, it sounds good and all, but it doesn't have the same BTU capacity as gasoline does. And right now, as I'm doing this podcast, gasoline is, oil is down to $50 a barrel. That's half price of what it was. And yet the price at the pump really hasn't gone down much now, has it? It's rather incredible. The price at the pump that the consumer pays, or the price for a toilet or a light bulb or whatever, continues to stay high, continues to have skyrocketed for some reason, and then it just maintains, regardless of what happens to any of the inputs. Somebody's making money. But for most of us out here, we're just spending money. And it doesn't seem like much of a bargain anymore. And maybe that's one of the reasons that wet shaving is catching on. Because in that one small area of your life, you have the ability, once again, to feel like you're getting a bargain. Feel like you're paying a price that is, well, worth it. Feel like you're getting something commensurate with the dollars that you spend. You know, when you buy an artisan soap and you pay $15 to $20 for a tub of soap, and you open it up and you realize that this soap could last easily 6 months of daily use, if not more. And the whole time it will be enjoyable, and you will like it, and it will be good for your skin, and it will give you fine shaves, and it's better than the goo in the can, and it's just, it feels like it's worth it. Monetarily, it feels worth it. And when you buy yourself a nice razor and you go and buy a pack of blades, you look at this pack of blades that you didn't pay a whole lot of money for. It's about the equivalent of one cartridge. And you realize that you could shave for a month, maybe even more, on that one pack of blades, and all of a sudden it feels like it's worth it. And it's one of those few things in life right now that feels like it's worth it, like you're actually getting your money's worth, like you're actually paying something and getting a value for that money, for your time and for your effort. And that may be one of the reasons why wet shaving is becoming popular. Because it is a cry from the society as a whole to stop ripping us off through legislation, through regulations, through control. Stop. Let me have something of value.